so loved the world, that he gave
that
his
he
only
gave his
Son,
only begotten
that
Son,
whosoever
that
believeth in him
whosoever
should
believeth
not
in him should not
perish,
perish,
but have
but have
everlasting life.
everlasting life.
What's up, peoples? And please sub peoples. I got that from one of my friends. I have some really, really good friends. And most of those good friends are grounded in God. They're Christian, they love God, and I can truly put my life into my life. I don't have multiple lives. I could truly put my life into their hands and know that I'll be taken care of, and they can do the same thing with me. But the bestest friends that I have, they all love God, and that's just amazing. I'm really grateful for that. And you know what? This video is all about truth and deceit, truth and lying. The quick answer to how can you tell someone is lying or not is if they are truly following the Lord. Because if they truly believe in Jesus, there's no room in their hearts to lie, because you cannot have sin and Jesus in your heart at the same time. So if someone truly believes in Jesus, Jesus forces them to tell the truth, no matter if they like it or not. They're no longer a slave to sin, but they're a slave to righteousness. So Jesus changes people. He changes people who are liars, and he changes them to tell the truth. So sometimes that change takes the course of years. Sometimes it's immediate. It just depends on the person. But how can you tell if someone is lying or not? Simply put, if they're following Jesus. So God told me all about truth and deceit in Proverbs 12:17-22 this morning. I'll be taking it verse by verse and just sharing with you what God has told me. So let's jump right into it. Verse 17, he who speaks truth declares righteousness, but a false witness deceit. So if you are righteous, if you're doing the righteous thing, you're doing what is acceptable to God. And what is acceptable to God is telling the truth. You cannot be righteous and not tell the truth, because part of righteousness is telling the truth. So a person who speaks truth walks in the way of righteousness, walks in the way that is acceptable to God. God values truth, and he takes delight in truth, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. But the flip side of that is that people who are wicked, you cannot expect anything other than for them to tell you a lie, to deceive you, to mislead you. What comes out of their hearts is lies, basically. So false witness misleads people. They don't give the whole story. They want to deceive you. They want to change up things for their benefit. It's all about themselves and how they feel. Verse 18, there is one who speaks like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise promotes health. And I thought about this because the truth can be like the piercing of a tongue. Well, the piercings of a sword. And the word is described in Hebrews, I think. Tell me if I'm right or not. In the Hebrews, the word is described as a double-edged sword. So the word is the truth. Jesus calls himself the truth. He is the truth. He is the way, the truth, and the life. So the truth, it hurts, and it could pierce directly to the heart. But the tongue of the wise promotes health. So if you tell the truth and you're wise on top of that, what you do is you're telling the truth in love. And when you tell the truth in love, you're like, hey, this is the truth, and let me build you up towards God. And that's what's truly loving. That's what's wise. Because if you just tell someone the truth and then just leave them there for them to deal with it, then it's like, what is that person supposed to do? How are they supposed to move on from that? You completely just destroyed them. But taking that extra step is wise. You're not leaving a fellow brother or sister behind. So tell the truth in love. And when you tell the truth in love, you're actually caring about a person's well-being, and you're promoting their health by building them up towards God. So verse 19, the truthful lip shall be established forever. So in a previous video, I mentioned that the lip, what comes out of the mouth comes from the heart. And Jesus says this in Matthew, I think it's 15, Matthew 15. So what comes out of the mouth comes from the heart, and that's what defiles a man. So the truth comes out of a person's mouth. You know that truth is in a person's heart, and this truth shall be established forever. And it's established forever because the truth comes from God. Jesus is truth. And if Jesus is truth, then the word is truth. The word is truth. The word lasts forever because Jesus is God and he lasts forever. He was and is to come. He existed since forever, and he will exist for forever. He has no beginning or ending. He is the first and the very last. So Jesus is the truth, and the truth is established forever. Truth is eternal, just like Jesus, because Jesus is the truth. But a lying tongue is but for a moment. So remember that lying is a sin. Lying is wickedness. And lying is a part of this world. And like everything else in this world, sin shall be done away with. It should be no longer. It will completely be eradicated by God when Jesus comes back. So the lying tongue is but for a moment. It seems like forever now. It seems like we're in an ocean full of deception and an ocean full of lies. But it's only for a moment. It shouldn't last forever. Verse 20, deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but counselors of peace have joy. So remember that deceit means to mislead. And those who deceive people, like that's in the heart. Deceit comes from the mouth, and it's also in the heart. Deceit comes through actions, and it's also in the heart. What comes into a person doesn't defile the person, but what comes out of a person defiles the person, and that is from the heart. So deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil. You can't expect anything more or less from an evil person. Evil people don't care about you. They want to deceive you. They want to tell you lies to get their way. They only care about themselves. So people who lie to you only care about themselves. They care about how they feel. They don't care about your well-being. They don't promote your health like wise people do and righteous people do, but they want to deceive you. They want to mislead you, and they want you to walk the path of death. They want you to experience pain and suffering and the consequences of evil, and that comes out of their heart. But counselors of peace have joy. Now, where does this peace and where does this joy come from? And this peace and joy comes from the fruit of the Spirit. It says, but counselors of peace. Not only people who have true peace is people who follow God and people who walk according to God's Spirit. And people who do experience God's Spirit are walking according to his commandments. And the fruits of the Spirit, hold on, let me turn to the page. I'm just going to tell you what the term peace and joy means. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Peace, the word peace defined in the Bible in its original form, I can't remember the word. Peace is defined as a calm state of the soul, assured of its salvation through Christ. a calm state of the soul, assured of its salvation in Christ, through Christ, in Christ. Same difference. So just think about that right now. If you have peace in your life, it's because you're trusting in God, and you know that no matter what happens, God has your back, and you know where you're going to end up at the end of the day. You're going to end up in God's hands, whether that's continuously here on earth or in heaven. Either way, heaven is much better here than earth. So there's no need to worry. You have true peace in your heart, period. You're going to experience really, really good situations either way, if you're still here on earth or there in heaven. There's no need to worry at all. And counselors of peace will tell you to trust in the Lord, because trusting in the Lord leads to obeying God's commandments, which leads to having a spirit, which leads to that peace, that internal peace, that true peace. And the word joy means, and in its true form, it means lasting pleasure and happiness. So happiness and pleasure are temporary. I cannot say that enough. They're temporary. They last for a moment and then they go away. But joy, true joy, joy that is in the Lord, you get joy through the same way that you get peace, through God's Spirit. True joy is lasting happiness and pleasure. You're not just happy or joyous for today and not going to be there tomorrow. No, you're going to be joyous all the time, right? And I'm going to give you a little insight or something. If you're not joyous, that means you're not following the Lord. And if you're not following the Lord, that means you're sinning. So not being joyous is a sin. And you can say that Jesus wept, but you can still be joyous in that. You can still suffer alongside people and still have joy, happiness, and pleasure. You can have joy in tribulations. You have to experience it. I could do another video on joy if you want me to. Just leave a comment in the comment section below and just ask me to, if that's something that you're interested in. But true joy is an experience that you have to live every single day, and you have to live in God's Spirit every single day. And if you're not, then you're sinning, because it implies that you're not following God. I learned that from a good friend of mine, and I was convicted about that. So hopefully that says something to you. The next part. Oh wait, what else was I going to say here? Yeah, counselors of peace have joy simply because they're grounded in the Lord and they follow God's commandments. So that gives them God's Spirit, because He promises if you follow God's commandments, He would give you a spirit, and then you experience peace and joy and many other things. So that's why the counselors in verse 20 have peace, and they also have joy. Verse 21, no grave trouble will overtake righteous. No grave trouble will overtake the righteous, but the wicked shall be filled with evil. So this verse does not say that the righteous won't go through trouble. The righteous will go through trouble because there's evil all around. And sometimes righteous people are on the receiving end of evil. And sometimes righteous people go astray for just a little bit, and they inflict evil on themselves. But it does say no grave trouble will come upon the righteous. Now, why is that? Because the righteous naturally do the things that are acceptable to God. And what is acceptable to God will naturally remove righteous people from situations where there will be evil. Let me give you an example. When I was in high school, I could have been one or two people. I could have been a person that started a fight, or simply removed all possibilities for me ever fighting. I was the second person. Now, if I was not righteous, if I wasn't following the Lord and doing what was acceptable to him, people who talk bad about me, I would go up in their face, confront them, start an argument, and maybe we'll fight. And then I get suspended from school, then go home and get a whooping or be on punishment, and then there's a whole world of pain after that, right? Like I got myself into trouble because I made a decision to get myself into trouble because I wasn't doing what it was acceptable to God. However, if I was doing what was righteous, I would love my enemy. I would bless those who persecute me or talk badly about me, and I would pray for them as well. I would treat other people as I would treat myself, right? I would basically be following what God told me to do. And even though I wasn't walking closely with God then, I still did what was righteous. And what did that lead me to? I didn't even get nowhere near being in a fight in school, ever. If someone confronted me about something, I immediately solved it with peace because there was no need to fight at all, period. And there's no need to argue at all, period. I was a counselor of peace, and out of that, I had joy. I got to go home and play my game. That's just temporary, guys. That led me to the Lord. So that's just one example, like, of not pitting people who are righteous, people who do what is acceptable to God, won't put themselves in situations where they have grave trouble, where they experience a lot of consequences of evil actions. And then it says, but the wicked shall be filled with evil. You notice how people who do the right things, they stay out of trouble, and people who do the wrong things keep getting in trouble. I mean, a person who's addicted to cocaine, which is unhealthy, and you can argue that it's sinful because it's against the way of life to some certain extent. They continue to do cocaine, and they continue to do cocaine because it's addicting to them. People who drink alcohol and become alcoholics, it's addicting, and they continue to get themselves in that situation. The same thing with all types of sin. You lie, you have to keep lying to keep up with those lies, and then you get yourself into grave trouble. You go and punch someone in the face, then they punch you back in the face, and then there's a whole fight, and then you have to go to the police station. Now you're in jail, and that's another grave trouble. If you believe a lie, you even get yourself in grave trouble. If you believe a deceiving thing, you get yourself into trouble. Let me give one example, and then I'll move on. So a person believed that if they strap a bomb to their body, that action was acceptable to God, and that they will go to heaven immediately. So this person decides to, in the name of whatever group they were a part of, to go on a plane, hijack that plane, and become a sacrifice to God and take thousands of people with them. Another person who believed the same thing would go into a crowded area and blow themselves up, simply because they believed a lie and they was not in the truth. And that deception led them to create more evil, to create chaos and destruction. God does not at all condone evil. Not at all. Point blank, period. Does not condone evil. So that's just us. That's just from believing in deception. And I'll give you another one. At the beginning, with Adam and Eve, Satan simply deceived and lied to Eve, and that led to the fall of the human race. Just by believing in one lie, it led to the fall of the human race. So believing in a lie will cause you to be in grave trouble, period. It will cause you to be in situations where you shouldn't have been in the first place. You'll be on the receiving end of evil things, and you're going to be the one who condones evil things and to be the one who makes chaos and destruction. So the wicked will always be filled with evil. It's in their hearts. Verse 22, lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who deal truthfully are his delight. So remember in Proverbs 11, in another video, Proverbs 11 verse 20, those who are of a perverse heart are an abomination to the Lord, but the blameless in their ways are his delight. This is a part of that. A perverse heart is a person who lies, and a person who is blameless are people who deal truthfully. So an abomination is something that's inferior or excites hatred. And in this case, both lying is inferior and it incites hatred to God. It's an abomination. And you could easily think of abomination as you taste something that's really terrible, you spit it out, and you're disgusted by it, you hate it, and you don't want anything else to do with that. That's how I felt about English food for a really long time. But it's an abomination. The same thing with lying. Lying comes from the heart, and from the heart it comes out in actions, and it comes out through people's mouths. And that is an abomination to God. God absolutely hates it. He hates evil. But those who deal truthfully are his delight. He takes pleasure in those who do the right thing. He takes pleasure in those who are righteous, who have integrity, who are upright, who are blameless, and who walk truthfully and who tell the truth. So that's really, really important. He is delighted by, he values truth. He is truth. And remember, anything other than God, anything other than the ways of God is sinful. So if God is truth and you're walking in truth, God is going to like you. But if you're not in truth and you're in that deceit, if you're on that broad path with a wide gate, God will hate those ways. He hates the ways of the wicked. It's an abomination to him. So I found this to be another character trait of God. God hates evil, but he loves good. So that was my quiet time today. That's all what God told me, and it was quite refreshing. It was really, really refreshing. I hope you learned a lot from that. And I remember I have really great friends. I just really have really great friends. And one of my friends gave me the idea. This is his idea of what I can say. Like subscribe, take the first part, sub, and then peoples, So instead of saying subscribe peoples or what's up peoples, I could say sub peoples, like what's up peoples, like hello peoples, what's up peoples, and then sub peoples. I could do a lot of things with my name, but my friends, they help me out with that. So I love you all. I love my peoples dearly, and sub peoples, and I'll see you in the next video.